All right. So do we want to, have you got anything else when it comes to creating the framework?
Yes, absolutely. So once you've done X, Y, Z, you've set me off now, Aaron. But once you've done X, Y, Z, I would try to build a requirements table. And don't worry, Aaron, we're getting onto the structural diagram next. I know I said that's where we'd start, but there's a couple of things that have to come before that. So a requirements table, the spreadsheet has to do this. HW here. So these are our basic requirements here. Okay, then just keep it simple. Let's just have 2 columns, and let's say it would be nice if the spreadsheet did this too. And let's just say additional requirements here. There we go. Yeah, so the next step for me, XYZ statement first, and then a requirements table. So when we're building a requirements table, what do we want this file to do? And once again, this is all part of the planning and conceptualization stage. If we can do the planning, get the plan all sorted, and understand the concepts here, we can avoid a lot of the problems that we might come across later. So, it seems to me that a basic requirement would be to be able to generate a program. Is that would that be fair, Aaron?
So with this, do we want to, with the basics requirements, are we talking specifically what functions are we looking to solve, or are we wanting to have a broad term here?
Specifically, what are the functions of the spreadsheet at the basic level? What are the basic functions that you need? Yeah.
So automate exercise selection.
Exercise selection.
Automate exercise loading.
Exercise loading, yeah.
So that's being able to automate the actual lift load. So say if to back squat, being able to actually populate the specific lift requirements. Automate sets and rep schemes.
Mm-hmm. Schemes. Nice, okay.
Sorry, you go.
3 requirements is probably fine for the purpose of the demonstration, but you got another one coming, Aaron, so tell me that last one.
So it would have been track session load.
Okay. And track the session load. Good stuff. Okay, so it's just important, as I said, to go through and to establish, yeah, so we've got our XYZ statement first, but then to establish, what are the specific functions that we need this file to do? And once you start writing some down, we've just noted 4 down here, you could probably get up to 5 or 10. You can then start thinking about priority. So which of these functions is the most basic one, the most fundamental one? It has to do this. And which ones are more kind of additional requirements and more kind of nice to have. Now, Aaron has mentioned automation. In order to get the automation, you've got to have a basis there. You've got to have some data there to automate. So I'd also include here input data about exercises, for example, because in order to do the automation, you're going to have that data actually sitting somewhere in the file. So VBA can go and find it. So I'd say, at the more basic level, you're going to have a database in the file there with that information in.
I call that the exercise database.
Yeah, lovely. Let's type that in here, exercise DB for database. So these, I'll probably be tempted to put these over here, maybe more as additional requirements, but just to make sure that we're working through the file in the right way, because that priority is important because it means we work on the right things to begin with. We don't want to jump into this and think, right, I'm going to just automate the exercise selection. There's so many tasks you have to do first, including creating a database in order to be able to reach that automation. So this is what we're trying to do with our requirements analysis, identify what to do, but then have a sense of priority. What are the building blocks here and what's the order in which they should go in?
So I think essentially the exercise selection would be probably the main thing. And then those other three would be additional on top of that.
Okay. We need to take this across, Control X, Control V, of course, on the Windows PC. Yeah, so now you're building up a nice little table. And, you know, what I would say to people is, if you're working with somebody else, if you're working with a team, building an Excel file, it's so important to be able to develop these little tables, have these little concepts, these little frameworks to hand in order to kind of build a shared understanding of what's going on. And it's important in the consultancy situation. I know Aaron has done spreadsheet projects for people. I've done hundreds of spreadsheet projects for people. If you're in that situation, people are going to love this kind of thing, requirements table, XYZ analysis. But I'd also say it's important to do this yourself. Yeah, when I build a spreadsheet file, and as I said, I've done hundreds of Excel VBA development projects. What do? What do I do when I start? Well, what I don't do is open Excel. Seriously, that I won't open Excel. I'll probably be 1 or 2 days into a project before I open Excel. That's because I'm going through this process, thinking about the XYZ definition, discussing that with my customer, with my team, really trying to develop a shared understanding there, developing the requirements table so there's no surprises later on when you realize you've missed something out. If you can go through this process, the development process is going to be massively de-stressed, and that's going to increase the impact of your Excel implementations.